Welcome to Crafting at Home with Tully. My name is David, and today we're going to be making these rather fantastic card tube elephants. They also stand up, they're really adorable. So, they're quite easy to do. Things you'll need for it are some cardboard tubes, a paintbrush, and paints, and some water. You'll need some scissors, and you'll also need a fairly sharp pencil as well, and some masking tape. So all those bits together, we'll be able to make this elephant. Now the first thing you're going to need to do is the ears on either side. So we'll just move all these bits out of the way and get ready to make our ears. Now to make the ears, you're going to need some holes in either side of your elephant's body. Now I started mine earlier, so I'm just going to grab that. So you can see I've poked holes with the pencil through there, and then on this side as well. I've just marked that one. It's ready to go. So you just poke through, give it a little twist, make it a nice-ish sized hole. That's the right size for your elephant's ear. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut them out, but make sure you leave that part there in between the two dots connected, because then we can fold out the ears and it'll look really, really cool. Now, you can do these ears any sort of shape and size you want for your elephant. I'm going to do mine quite big, but I'm going to leave it connected at those 2 points there. And those two little gaps make it just a little bit easier for the ear to fold in a minute. I'm going to do the same here, just be careful not to accidentally cut through the back. Okay, so that's my two ears ready to go. Well, they are slightly lopsided, but that's okay. So there we go. So that's my two ears done. The next thing I need to do are the tusks and the trunk. So that's where the second tube comes in. So we're going to cut off part of this tube to make into the trunk. And we're going to cut another part off to make into the tusks. Now I'm going to actually cut all the way up here to about there and cut around this way. All the way around. That is a little bit tricky to cut around a circle, but there we go. And I'm going to actually, I think, turn this end into the end of the trunk. So I've given it a little bit of a wiggle, ready to go as the trunk. And that's going to be taped on just about there. So this is why I suggested masking tape. You can use normal tape. I prefer masking tape for things like this, just because the masking tape will be easier to paint over, and it still hides where you've stuck all the things together. A nice big curly trunk for the elephant. I'm going to do the same for the tusks. So again, I'm going to just cut down there, and I'm going to cut around, all the way around, and that should be about the right size, so I'm just going to fold it in half there. Now this bit I'm going to need to cut into a tusk shape, which is a bit pointier. So I'll cut it that way, and I'll cut it this way, and then I will trim just there, across the middle, and I should have two tusks. Now it's really handy for me because the inside of these tubes is already white. But if not, don't worry, you can always get some white paint to colour them in. Any excess bits or any bits I need to chuck, I'm going to put them aside, get them in the recycling later on, ready to go. But first I need to re-tape that down and then tape on my two tusks. So I'm just going to get some tape ready, stick it to one end of the tusk, and just tape it just underneath my trunk there. That'll be about right. And they already, because of being on a big circle, they've already got a nice curve to them, which is perfect. I'll do the same on this side too. There we go. So that's the basic elephant ready. Now what I need to do is paint it. So I've already mixed my painter. All you need is a bit of black and a bit of white. So I've got this good grey colour, nice deep grey, ready for my elephant. And because I'm going to also need to paint on some eyes, I'm actually going to paint the top of it first. So it gives it a little bit of time to dry while I paint the rest of it. And just do nice big long brush strokes. I'm using quite a good thick brush actually for this. But if you don't have one, don't worry, I'm sure you can use any other sort of brush. But for this sort of thing, the bigger the better, because you're able to quickly paint a lot of the area. And I'm just going to cover up that tape there. There we go. Now for the trunk, you're going to want the whole trunk to be covered, so I'll get onto that in a second, because the trunk is actually quite tricky. We're also going to paint the back. And obviously, very importantly, the ears. Now, don't worry if you get a little bit on your tusks or anything, because I'm sure you'll be able to repaint it with white later on, so I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. I'm trying very hard not to get too much on me, but doing lots of paint is quite messy sometimes, so it's not too bad. And we're almost ready with the front of the elephant now, so that's good. Of course, you could do your elephant any colour you want. You could go with a pink elephant, purple elephant, blue elephant, but I just thought I'd go with the classic grey elephant. So it looks like it's going to roam around. Now I'm going to paint the trunk. Now when you put the paint on the trunk, you might notice it stops being as bendy. That's okay, all you need to do is bend it back up or wait till it dries and re-bend the trunk a bit. I'm just going to paint this last ear and do a little bit on the back, and then my elephant will be nearly ready. Of course, you don't have to do an elephant, you could do any other animal you can think of doing this. You could even do animals that you could have the tube a different way for and things like that too. So, that is the basis of my elephant done. There we go. Now I'm just going to do the eyes a little bit. Just going to grab some paper towel to dry my brush off. And then I'm going to sort out the eyes. I think I'll need a little bit more paint just to do a little dot for the eyes. So you can see there my trunk's kind of gone a little bit floppy, but that's okay because we'll just curl it up a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to grab some white paint, squeeze a little bit out, and then I can do two big dots for the eyes at the top. I'll probably do one just here and one just there. Put a little bit more weight on there. What's good about this is I've done them slightly thicker paint, so actually the eyes will pop out a little bit. And what I can do is I can leave that to dry a little bit longer, and I can paint on the rest of the eye. Now, the last thing I need to do with the example is to paint on the pupils in the eye. So I'm just going to grab my brush and grab a little tiny bit of grey. I don't have any black to hand, but that's okay. And I'll just do a little dot just there and a little dot just there, because this one had plenty of time to dry. So I'll leave the other one to dry off, and I will do the same with it later. So there we go. And you could easily make a little herd of elephants. You could even make your own paper tubes and get different sizes, different shapes and everything like that. So you'd have a whole family of elephants ready to go. Really hope you've enjoyed doing that craft video, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.